Welcome to this video, a video on Tanzania liquefied natural gas LNG plant. Before we start, I kindly request to subscribe to this channel if you have not, and watch it up to the end, then comment, share and like. So in today's video, we'll be talking about the Tanzania liquefied natural gas plant, and this is a project which is located in Indian Ocean opposite Tanzania main offshore gas exploration site. The project is called Tanzania Liquefied Natural Gas Project, LMLNGP, and it's also known as Likong'o-Mchinga Liquefied Natural Gas Project. So giving a background of this project, the project idea was conceived in 2014 when the Ministry of Energy of Tanzania first announced the intention to develop the LNG plant. So this came as a result of an extensive site selection process, and a site was identified in Lindi region of Tanzania, southern Tanzania. So upon completion of this project, the Likong'o-Mchinga LNG plant, it will have a capacity to produce 10 million tons per annum NTPA of liquefied natural gas. So to have an understanding of this project and what it entails, it is important for us to have a clear understanding of what natural gas is and what liquefied natural gas is. So what is natural gas? Natural gas is formed through decomposition of plants and animal matter and as the subsurface of the earth, and this takes millions of years, and it can be discovered in deep underground reservoirs. Natural gas can be used for electricity generation and industries such as fertilizer, cement, petrochemicals, among others. It can also be used for heating and cooking, as well as a fuel for vehicles and ships. And what is liquefied natural gas, LNG? So LNG is a natural gas that has been cooled to a liquid form at approximately negative 160 degrees centigrade. LNG has no smell, it is colorless, it is non-corrosive, and is also non-toxic. The volume of natural gas in its liquid form is about 600 times smaller than its volume in the gaseous form, so it is condensed. The natural gas extracted from the underground reservoir contains minor amounts of water, carbon dioxide, and mercury, and these components need to be removed before the natural gas is liquefied. The liquefaction process enables long-distance transportation and storage of the natural gas. Specifically or specially designed ships, which are called LNG carriers, are used for LNG transport. At the receiving terminal, the LNG is then regasified and distributed as a pipeline gas. So having an understanding of what natural gas is and what liquefied natural gas is, now we can embark on reserves of this gas in Tanzania. So Tanzania is estimated to have over 57.5 trillion or cubic feet TSF of natural gas in its recoverable reserves, of which some of the gas is already being used for power generation and running of manufacturing plant. There are several companies, international oil companies, that is involved in exploration, drilling of natural gas in Tanzania. We have Equinor, Shell, among others. Equinor is one of the international oil companies that has been carrying out the exploration drilling activity in Tanzania. The company was allocated Block 2 offshore, and a total of 15 exploration wells have been drilled, resulting in 9 discoveries with estimated volumes of more than 20 trillion cubic feet or TCF of natural gas. In 2016, Shell became operator of 2 offshores, Block 1 and Block 4, and together with its partner, Availing Energy and Pavilion Energy, they have done extensive exploration activities in the 2 blocks, that is Block 1 and Block 4, and they have found significant deep water gas discovery, which are sufficient to support multi-train-based LNG project. 18 wells were drilled, and 16 trillion cubic feet of natural gas have been discovered. The company claims that it has spent more than $2 billion in these activities. The Tanzanian government has over the years been in talks with group of oil and gas companies which are led by Norway Equinor. Other companies include the Royal Dutch Shell, ExxonMobil, Availing Energy and Pavilion Energy. The international oil companies will develop the project in partnership with the state-run Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation (TPDC). So among the issues that need to be agreed upon for the project to kick off include availing of land in the identified site. So the site had been identified and it's located in Lindi region, and the owners of this land need to be compensated, and it has to be done as per the international best practices. There is also establishment of the commercial framework for the project, where host government agreement has been signed. Production sharing has to be agreed upon, and it has to be fair to all the parties. There's need to come up with cost competitive development options, and most importantly, create a win-win situation for all the parties involved. The government of Tanzania should feel that, and the people of Tanzania should feel that they are getting fair share of their resources. The development investors need to getting value out of the investment that they put in this project. So the first thing that need to be done once for the construction of this plant is availing of land, and this has been identified as in the Lindi, that is Likong'o-Mchinga area. So Tanzania has already revoked ownership of 19,000 acres at Likong'o-Mchinga in Lindi, and this paves way for the construction of the 30 billion LNG plant. This has been termed as a major step for the government to gain trust of the international oil and gas companies, IOCs. And these companies have been for long been frustrated by the government inability to secure the land since it was identified. Government delay in securing the identified land and handling it over to Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation (TPDC) on behalf of the companies was the key reason why the international oil companies had delayed the decision to invest. The land in question has been used for over the years to grow sisal. The owner of the land had been reported that he was asking for $100 million in terms of compensation from the IOCs. The government evaluation report on the value of the land has shown that the land is not worth more than $20 million. Tanzania government is allowed by the law to revoke the rights of occupancy of the landholder, and the president has already done that. The former president Jakaya Kikwete had already revoked the land, ownership, and LNG partners are free to use the land for investment. Once the land is handed over to Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation and the LNG partners, it is expected that they might use it to secure a loan from international lenders for the project. However, before the lenders approve the loan, a scenario can arise where they will be required to carry out a due diligence to establish the circumstances under which the land was granted, among other things. The due process might take long, approximately 2 years, and this means that the process of starting this project may further be delayed by 2 years. So what are the benefits that this project will bring to Tanzania and the investors? It is expected that the LNG plant will spur the economic growth of Tanzania by about 2%. That's a huge contribution to the economy. The project is expected to bring the following benefits: to be a source of revenue for the government and also for the investors, and judged it to contribute heavily to the GNP. We have heard that will lead to an economic growth of about 2%. Government share of value creation of the project is expected to be more than 60%. This has been said to be a high share when you compare it to what other countries and projects have got around the world. And this is as a result of the renegotiation process that has been ongoing and change of laws to enable Tanzania to get its fair share as far as its natural resources are concerned. This is the government share will consist of direct income from the government rights to volumes according to the production sharing agreement, and also income from the TPDC participation as well as taxes. The contribution to the GDP will also be indirect through economic ripple effects from the project and other related economic activities. So Tanzania will also be able to get gas for domestic use. The project will provide gas for the domestic market in accordance with the agreed production sharing agreement terms. This gas can be used by Tanzania to support the vision for 2025 with a clear ambition for electrification and industrialization of the country. The potential substitution of imported heavy fuel with domestically produced natural gas can also improve the balance of foreign currency payment. So this will be a huge benefit for Tanzania. Tanzania does not have to rely on imports. Now it can use its own domestically produced natural gas. So this will mean that they will use less in terms of importing gas, and this will go a long way in reducing the balance of payment for that country. In terms of capacity or capability development, there will be some new industries which will be established, and these new industries will require new capacities and capabilities. So this will benefit the project and also the Tanzania as a country. So new industries coming up, these industries will require some new capacities, and these capacities need to be developed. Currently, the international oil companies are building up skills and knowledge that is required to exploit or to run this project. So this will be a boost for the country and the project itself. In terms of local content, the project provides extensive opportunities for development of local economy and the local suppliers. Already the local suppliers are positioning themselves so that they can be able to benefit from these opportunities that arise out of this project. In terms of indirect economic effects and ripple effects, this will be significant. Indirect effects on employment are calculated to be far higher from supporting services than the operations. In addition to new jobs, the project will introduce competence and experience building that will support Tanzania further development, both within the industry and also within the civil service. Coming to the current status of the project, given that financial investment decision has not been made, the project is still at planning phase. the foundation stage, where several agreements need to be signed for the project to kick off, the construction project to kick off. Generally, a project of this nature takes several phases, starting with the exploration phase, planning phase, operation phase. Construction phase is the third, and then we have the operation phase, and finally we have the decommissioning phase. So a project of this nature goes through those 5 phases. So exploration phase has already been carried out. This took several years, and the activities that were performed in this phase include seismic survey and drilling. So that has already been done, including site identification that has been done. So the project now is in planning phase, and this is normally takes several years, where activities include commercial and technical evaluation and designing of the project. So before construction can start for this project, it is expected that 3 years of planning and engineering work, which are known as pre-FEED and FEED. FEED is an acronym which stands for Front End Engineering Design. So this has to be carried out before the project construction kicks off. One important activity in pre-FEED is to map the soil characteristics at the site. This is necessary for selecting construction methods and materials to be used for construction of an LNG plant. This work is essential to guarantee that there is sufficient technical definition and preparation for the construction phase for it to be completed efficiently within the schedule and cost estimation. Environmental and geotechnical surveys on the site in the Lindi will be required before initiating any project activities. The government and partners will need to agree on commercial framework for the project. So in this, they have to come up with a host government agreement. Key terms: the host government agreement is abbreviated as HGA. HGA will establish the fiscal, legal, and commercial terms for the offshore part of the LNG product. The goal of for the host government agreement HGA is to ensure long-term benefits to Tanzania, and also to have a commercially viable and financeable project, as well as long-term stability and confidence for the international investors. The discussion on host government agreement with a focus on fiscal, legal, and regulatory framework for the project will have to give Tanzania 10% of the liquefied natural gas, while the rest 90% will be sold in exports. So talks are ongoing, but there is concern that they have taken so long, and this is as a result of due to some disagreement, change of regime, change of laws, and other factors which have delayed the process of making the final investment decision. The other phases include construction phase, but this will be done once the HGA has been signed. So this process is expected to last between 4 to 5 years, and here the activities will be construction of LNG plant, pipelines, and other infrastructure that will be required to actualize this project. Then once that construction is completed, then the project will transit to operation phase, and this is expected to last 30 to 40 years. So this being a fossil fuel, they have a life. The life is between 25 and 40 years. So here the activities will include extraction processes, processing for domestic use, and also liquefaction for export. Once the period lasts, once the resources are over, or they are not commercially viable to be extracted, then the project will be closed, and this is the decommissioning phase, which is supposed to take 2 to 3 years. And here some activities include closure of LNG operations, and also ensuring that the environmental measures are taken to return the site to its near original status. As you have seen, this project has experienced some delays. Negotiations have taken long, and in 2019 Tanzania suspended talks with the foreign investors to pave way for the review of the country's production sharing agreement regime, and this was ordered by the late President John Magufuli. The delayed negotiations between the government of Tanzania and multinationals, that is Equinor and Royal Dutch PLC, among others, has caused some of the players to scale down their activities in the country and start eyeing operations in the other countries. So this does not over well for the extraction of the resources in Tanzania and also monetizing natural gas in the country. So there have been calls to expedite the process. International oil companies recently urged the government of Tanzania to conclude negotiations on the country's planned project, arguing that timing is very critical if this project is going to succeed. They estimate that Tanzania LNG in the international markets could be worth 10 trillion Tanzania shillings every year, based on the prevailing market prices. And the sales of LNG, taxes, royalties, and dividends which will be accrued out of this project are expected to bring large revenues to Tanzania, which could be used to contribute to the country's economy development. However, they argue that demand growth for the oil and gas could be slower than previously anticipated, and the value of natural gas resources over the long term may decrease, perhaps aided by the events that are taking place in the world today, including the coronavirus pandemic. Given that the mega project that like this one takes years to plan, design, and execute, it is important that critical decisions need to be made, and made quickly, in order for Tanzania to gain out of this project. So these players feel that delaying the project further, delaying the decision, delaying the agreement, delaying the negotiations is affecting them negatively, and also it's affecting Tanzania negatively because of the delayed benefits and also the dynamics of the market as far as it's concerned. They're also citing the climate change crisis and the measures that are being taken by countries and also by investors. It might also this might jeopardize the success of the project if negotiations are not completed immediately. There are hopes, since negotiations have restarted between the international oil companies and the government of Tanzania. There are attempts to restart the negotiations, and this follows President Samia Suluhu's push for the project and finalized review of the production sharing arrangements. The Tanzanian new head of state in April, when she came to power, called on the energy ministry and international oil companies operators to expedite the stalled plan to monetize the gas discoveries. She called on the ministry to make sure that the process continues, but if a development agreement is not reached, she urged them that they can look for new investors. It has been 6 years since the Tanzania started negotiations with these companies. Talks have always been characterized with delays and postponement. All companies, despite these delays, they are optimistic that they will finalize the talks over the 30 billion project. A final investment decision on the plant can only be made after the signing of host government agreement between the state and IOC. High and fluctuating costs and shifting global gas market make the economies of the project delicate or weak. The project development is further affected by the tough tax and contractual terms which were introduced by the government of Tanzania in 2015 Petroleum Act and also in the 2016 Finance Act, as well as 2017 Natural Resources laws, which was championed by the late President Magufuli. These laws enabled the authorities to renegotiate production sharing agreements signed by the previous regimes, in which the terms were deemed as unconscionable. In any renegotiation, the government would likely to seek to increase tax stake and state participation, as it has successfully done in other mining sectors. So the battle lines are already drawn, but compromise need to be made by all parties. The government desire to quicken this process seems to be there. Analysts are pointing out that there will be need to examine the barriers created by the government policies. International oil companies agree that HAG talks should resume quickly and be concluded as quickly as possible. They are pointing at a shrinking window of opportunity to monetize the gas resources due to climate concerns. Despite the agreements between the government and IOC, the need to expedite and conclude HGA talks will not be easy. Reaching compromise will not be easy, to be challenging. Physical terms which are relating to the upstream and midstream elements and also local content obligation are probably some of the main sticking issues that need to be agreed upon. In case compromise is not reached on the key issues based on the current two-train onshore concept, the international oil companies may seek to redesign the project or even walk away if the economics remain uncompetitive. The government also has an option of seeking new partners, but these will further delay the implementation of this project. So the project is at that point, it has delayed, but it is beneficial to Tanzania and also its neighboring country. Already Tanzania and Kenya have entered into some agreement for Tanzania to supply it with liquefied natural gas for its manufacturing, to improve its manufacturing capacity, and also to address the issue of power, which has been expensive, especially given the power which comes from independent power producers. So government of Kenya is looking forward to gaining from this project. So the quicker that this project is done, it will benefit Tanzania and also its neighbors. So it's important that the HGA is signed and all the parties to this project are given a fair share. Other countries can learn from this process, especially on what Tanzania is going to gain. It's one of the projects which have been termed as very fair to Tanzanian people, the country that owns these resources. It has been termed that it is given the Tanzania the highest benefits compared to a project of the similar nature, and that is something that African countries can learn from. But they also need to do it in a way that investors are attracted. Remember, we may have the resources, but capacity to develop these resources or to exploit the resources is lacking. So Tanzania need to ensure that since they have large reserves of natural gas, in future they do this project on their own instead of relying on foreign investors. So thank you for watching this video. I invite you for such videos in future. Subscribe to this channel if you have not, comment, like and share, and if you have not hit the notification bell, do so that whenever we upload a new video you are notified. So thank you and welcome again.